Can you tell me what's the most powerful way for you to attract more women into your life? It's not getting rich, it's not cold approaching, and it's not dating apps. It's self-improvement my way. That's where you improve everything you possibly can, like building a 10 out of 10 aesthetic body, improving your mental health, and increasing your level of social charisma. So in this video, I'm gonna explain to you the super interesting facts about the girls who are into you right now. So first, we need to start with me explaining to you what the self-improvement relationship trap is. I want you to remember that term from now on. The self-improvement relationship trap. That's where you get onto self-improvement. So you've been going to the gym, you've been meditating, you've been eating clean, you've been reducing your screen time. You're all around becoming a more attractive man. And by the way, this is not like shallow in any way. You're actually improving your character, your discipline, your willpower. You're becoming more wholesome and humble. You're learning, you're becoming more of a student, but also some of the vanity, materialistic stuff. Like you're just becoming more sexually attractive. You look better, you're taking better pictures. Maybe you're leveling up money, you're getting better grades in school. Maybe you're trying businesses. You're leveling up all these areas of life, which of course make you more attractive to girls. So this is what's going to happen to you if it hasn't happened already. This is the level you start at. Let's say in one of those like autistic rating scales, you're like a 4 out of 10, maybe like a year ago. You discover self-improvement. I tell you to go to the gym, I tell you to meditate, whatever, and you become a 4.5, and then a 5, and then a 5.5, and then a 6. That's probably roughly where you are right now if you've been watching content like this for the past like 1 or 2 years. If you're new to this journey, of course, you'll be like less on this level. But what will happen is as you improve yourself, more girls will be into you, because it's just the fact that all of us men know that the amount of girls and also the quality of girls that are into us basically correlates with the level of life that we've got to, right? Imagine you're just a normal guy. If we suddenly gave you the absolute best 10 out of 10 aesthetic body, suddenly you'd go up by 2-3 points out of 10, and suddenly more girls would be into you. Even if we changed nothing else, even if you were still broke and like an idiot or whatever, if we made you a higher level man, more girls would be into you. But the problem comes, and this is why I thought of this idea of the self-improvement relationship trap, is you've now become eligible for the attraction from girls, but the girls who are going to be into you right now, if you're watching this video, they ain't all that. I'm guessing you're anywhere from like 16 to 21 years old. You've been on self-improvement, you've been going to the gym and those kind of habits for less than like 3 years now. What I'm telling you right now is the brutal truth. The girls who are into you right now, the girl that you've been texting, whatever, they ain't all that, because of course their sort of value, their quality correlates with yours. And even though you've made good progress, you're still at the start of your life. And so if you've gotten yourself to a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10 in the stupid, the rating scale just sounds stupid, but it kind of makes sense in this example. The girl who's into you might actually be like a 4. And you might not want to accept that. You might think, wait, what? No, but I like her. No, she's like an 11 out of 10. But the amount of guys I see who are stuck here and they will basically settle with a girl, like one of the first girls who's shown them attraction, is so sad. Like, just imagine you start improving your life, you hit your stride a little bit, you're making progress, and you settle with the first girl who showed you attraction without understanding the next big thing that we need to cover, which is that you will unlock a better woman every 6 months on this path. Every 6 months, you will go up by like 0.5 or maybe even 0.25 out of 10 in the rating scale. Every 6 months or so. And when you go up, so do the women who are into you. So the girl that you can get right now is nowhere near as good as the girl that you can get in 3 years from now, in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now. Like, genuinely, really be honest here. Think about the girls who have shown you attraction. Think about the girls maybe you match with on dating apps, or who are genuinely like into you. Not just the girls who reply to your messages, because girls reply to messages from all kinds of guys that they're not even interested in. But the girls who go on dates with you, the girls who kiss you, for example. Think about them right now. I guarantee some of those girls you're thinking in your mind, they vape. They watch porn every single day. They don't go to the gym. They eat ultra-processed food. In other words, they're fucking losers. Like, let's not be sexist here. If a guy did not go to the gym, did not eat real food, had various limiting beliefs, had never even spent an hour trying to heal traumas or anything like that, and he was just like this fucking guy who's done nothing productive in his life, we would think that he's a loser. So you've got to think, if we're not being fucking sexist and you want to have like no double standards and you want to have equality, fine. Then you've got to think a girl who has the same traits is a loser as well. But the difference is you're not anymore. You are not a loser little consumer anymore. You are a guy who's actually living the more natural way. You're on self-improvement. You're becoming disciplined in a world of instant gratification. That's a very hard thing to do. You're racking up achievements. You're hitting PRs in the gym. You're putting in the effort to eat clean and to meditate and to journal and to learn more about yourself, into improving the relationship with your family. These are quite remarkable things. You know, everyone should be doing them, but it's kind of rare for someone young to be working on these things. Every 6 months, you will make another 1, 2, 3, 4 pounds of muscle mass. You'll lose another 5, 10 pounds of fat. You'll improve your facial attractiveness. You'll become more confident. You'll get life experience. You'll mature because of the mistakes that you've made, the pains and failures. You'll accumulate scars, physically and literally, or metaphorically, whatever. Like, you'll get scars, which are very attractive for guys. Physically on your skin from like physical injuries, but also psychologically from the pains that you've been through, and that will mature you. It will turn you into a more attractive man. You ask any guy who's on this path, like any guy who's become successful, any guy who's been, you know, he's got the physique, he's got the confidence, whatever, and ask him to tell you about the first few girls who were into him when he was young, like your age. And some of those girls are almost what's called an outlier, in the sense that they were kind of special and almost better than what you should have been able to get. But many of the girls that you'll be able to attract when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, they ain't all that. And I don't mean to be disrespectful and, you know, like being the guy who like hates his exes or anything like that, because I actually genuinely don't. But just objectively looking at the facts, if I think about the girls I dated when I was like 18 years old, 20 years old, 21, I just imagine what a disappointment it would be to settle with the first women who ever showed you any attraction. It's kind of like buying Bitcoin at $3,000 and then selling it at $5,000 because you've made profit, right? Why would you sell so early? Like, if you're on self-improvement, you are basically like Bitcoin. You're like a crypto. I would invest in you. Someone said this to me back in like 2020. It was one of the best compliments I had. It was a guy who was into like crypto and Bitcoin. And if you don't know, the idea is like you buy like this coin, this sort of like currency, this token thing basically, and it might go up in price. And the idea is you want to spot which one of these coins could go up in price so that you buy it when it's low and you sell it when it's high, so you've made profit. And this one guy I was speaking to, when he saw the stuff I was doing, I was meditating for an hour a day. I was posting consistently to this business, like to this YouTube channel. I was reading for about 2-3 hours a day. I was exercising for 2 hours a day. I was sleeping at the same time. You know, I was like so dialed in. He said to me, if you were a cryptocurrency, I would invest in you. That's the same way that I feel about the guys who watch my videos, who don't just watch, not just mindless consumers, because there's some of those guys, but you're actually like taking action in this in your real life. If you were a cryptocurrency, I would invest in you. Why? Because where you are right now is worse, way worse than where you're going to be 6 months from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now. So why cash out now? Why sell your Bitcoin now? You know, in the future, look, what I'm not telling you to never get into a relationship. The same as I wouldn't tell you to like never sell the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or whatever. The idea is cash out when you've actually got to a good level. Let's say your progress slows down 5 or 10 years from now. You've built the physique. You've got amazing in your finances. You own your own home. You've built levels of charisma and confidence and leadership and all those beautiful, like really attractive masculine traits. Then when you meet a girl at that level, she's going to be so incredibly higher quality than the women you're meeting right now. That's when you actually settle, and that's when you choose, oh yeah, this woman is amazing. She's inspiring. She's super, super high quality. You then lock that woman down and you settle with her and you get her into a beautiful relationship with her. Not with the first girls that you ever meet. Like, if I can be honest to you, right? Let me just shit on some women here. And I don't mean to be disrespectful or anything, but I need to kind of tell you the stories, right? So my so my first girlfriend was a really lovely girl, sweetheart, whatever, and she was like very like mature and everything. She was like better than I should have been able to attract because she was beautiful, but she was also like feminine and motherly and everything, awesome. But the relationship didn't work out. I was young, and there was just stuff to deal with, whatever. So the relationship didn't work out all good. But the second girl I dated after her was genuinely kind of like a drug addict. And I don't mean that in the weird crackhead thing, but when you're in university, like college, a lot of people go out and they binge drink alcohol and they take drugs and whatever. And I would kind of do that stuff every now and then, but this was another level where the second girl I dated who I really fell for, me and her would stay up till like 3, 4, 5 a.m. just eating food and just, mindlessly doing shit in like her place or my place. And there were so many days, I swear to God, I would wake up next to her at 3 p.m. and I would instantly get depressed because it was almost dark outside, like I lived in the UK. And of course, this is a reflection on me. I'm not just blaming this girl, but it's to say, like, imagine if I just settled and I just said, yep, this is the girl I'm going to be with. Oh yeah, because I really love her and she's pretty and, like we spend time together and she's funny, whatever. The truth was that she was kind of like the only girl who was kind of into me at that little moment, like the sort of month that I was getting super close to her. If I settled with her and I got into a very committed, serious relationship with her, could you imagine what my future would have looked like? And I think about other girls that I've dated, and one of the brutal ones was when I started this YouTube channel back in 2020. I got serious on self-improvement. I literally trimmed my own hair. I went bald. Not like balding, but like I shaved my head like military style. And I started working out every day at 5 a.m. I started posting to this business. I really locked in harder than I had ever done in my life. And I ended up going onto one of the dating apps and I matched with this girl who was pretty cute. She was funny and whatever. And we met for like drinks, had like dates. And then I fell for her. She fell for me. We basically got into kind of like a relationship. But the problem was, like, she was far beneath the level that I actually wanted to be at. I was this guy who had these massive ambitions. She just wanted to go out and party and smoke weed and vape and those kinds of things. That's probably what's going to happen to you. And like I said, I don't mean to shit on these girls, but I just want to give you the lesson. You are kind of like me in 2020 when you're going to the gym hard, you're leveling up like crazy, and you are improving every 3 months, 6 months. You're almost like a new person, right? You probably look back like 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and almost cringe at like how bad you were at certain stuff because you're improving so quickly. You'll meet a girl who feels kind of like your equal right now. You're both attracted to her, and I promise what's going to happen is within 3 to 6 months, you're going to have this brutal realization where you won't be able to say it to almost anyone other than know that like Hamza understands, which is that you'll think, wait, I'm better than her. I'm actually like too good for her. No one online will ever use these words because it sounds really toxic or something. But you can meet a girl where both of you feel like you're on the same level. You match with her on a dating app, or you meet him from school or whatever it is, Instagram or whatever. And it feels fairly equal. You're a guy who goes to the gym. She tells you that she maybe goes to the gym sometimes. And you think to yourself, wow, well, if she gets on self-improvement and she meditates for 10 years, then she'd be really high quality. You start fucking just deluding yourself into thinking you can save like a normie, basically. And it's only 3 months later, 6 months later, you've just finished your summer cut. You've got 10% body fat. You've actually become like twice as sexy as you were just 6 months ago when you met. And you're thinking like, but she has gotten a little bit worse. She's just like, I've had 6 months of going to the gym, meditating, reading. She's had 6 months of late nights smoking weed and, like staying up late and eating junk food and not caring about her diet and not even exercising. We as men on self-improvement, we get better significantly every 3 to 6 months. Most people, men and women, don't. So if you meet a girl who feels like you're kind of attracted to her right now, chances are 3 to 6 months from now, you probably won't, because you'll realize just how much you've grown and she hasn't. Now, I'll be honest with you, this does actually slow down. Like I said to you, once you've hit like diminishing results, and you've already got a great physique, you're already very financially secure, then it maybe is more of a 6 to 12 month window where you become like this new version of you. And when the women you attract, when you already establish yourself as a man, they're often way more into self-improvement than the girls you're meeting right now. So they're actually growing alongside you. Because this is a cope that a lot of guys will say, like a lot of pussies will say this. Oh, but Hamza's wrong because you should just get, I think you should just get a girl that you can grow with. Yeah, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that. But you need to be just fucking honest here and be brutal. The girls you're meeting right now are not growing. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't like act like a pussy. Like, no, but you know, she mentioned once that she wants to like go to the gym. No, but she's not going to the gym consistently. She mentioned once that she might try and quit vaping. No, because you tried to fucking pressure her, but she doesn't want to. When you guys have an argument and she'll go hang out with the same guys she told you not to worry about, and she's smoking with them, she's vaping with them. Don't fucking fall for the lies of like normies who tell you that they want to change. You, as a guy who's committed on self-improvement, who, you know, this path of you improving your life means a lot to you, you should meet a woman who is on this path actually like alongside you, not like a fucking normie that you're trying to save and you're trying to convince her, and it's like a big fucking hurdle, and she just, you know, she kind of entertains your conversation, but you know for a fact that bitch is eating Oreos or something when you're not around, and she's still scrolling, and she just doesn't give a fuck. That's the thing. Most people, men and women, just don't give a shit about improving their lives, living good lives. Most people just have fucking pussy little victim mindset. They blame it on everyone else. They blame it on the fucking trauma. They blame it on the fucking government. And they're fine living like that. You aren't. So you should meet a girl who actually is like you, not who you're trying to mold. There's a saying which is, you don't polish a turd. The idea is you don't start with a piece of shit and try and improve that. That's bullshit. That's not how relationships actually work. The best relationships are when two people who are actually quality already, they're happy already, they're two people who aren't needy, they're already like good people. Then they join together and it's like a force multiplier on their growth. Don't be the like Captain Save-A-Ho where you're doing all this and you meet a girl who's doing fucking nothing and it's an uphill battle for you trying to convince her to live like a fucking healthy human being. Oh baby, I think you should maybe exercise. If you have to tell your fucking girl to exercise, what does that say about you? You're dating someone who's basically fucking subhuman, right? And I'm telling you, most girls and guys, but like we're most likely we're straight here. Most girls in your age who potentially are into you are fucking losers. And every 3 to 6 months, even if you meet a girl who's kind of pretty right now, every 3 to 6 months you'll look back and be like, holy shit, imagine if I actually like settled with that girl. Unfiltered information like this is rare, where the person who's talking to you, giving you knowledge, is actually telling you the truth and not like this cute bullshit modern day advice. That's why I made this program that's over here, and I think it's one of the best deals on the internet. It's like super fucking cheap to join, and you get a ton of like this kind of like education that you don't really get in many other places. So I'll put it at the top of the video description if you want to come and have a look. The next point I want to make to you, if you're attracting girls right now and you know it's a problem that you're gonna face, is don't fall for lust disguised as love. If there's like a couple of girls you're like texting right now, Snapchatting or whatever, I'm telling you right now, like, you don't love them. If you've just gotten into like a new cute relationship, you're like 18 years old, so many young people think that they're actually in love with someone who's like genuine, you know, they want to be with. And most of the time, like I probably sound really depressive, but I tell you this is the truth. Most of the time for young people today, they're not actually in real relationships based on like partnership and companionship. They're in basically casual sex relationships where it's actually mostly through lust and the kind of bullshit brainwashing, the subversion from the Jews, basically, where like a lot of people in the West are super, super lustful. You get these rappers making songs about lust, and it's all everywhere in all of the media and everything. Basically, most of the countries of people who are watching this, we're all getting subverted by other countries who are implanting like sexual and lustful messages into us. I don't know if you know that already, but it's pretty common knowledge these days. Basically, there's like there's like a psychological war that's going on to make young people more lustful, because in other countries who are implanting this message into our countries, this is like a war tactic. All that to say, we are more lustful than we actually should be. And chances are, if there's a girl that you're kind of into right now, you don't actually genuinely really see her as the sort of partner by your side, you know, the partner in crime of like who you'd really, really want to like marry and be with and have children with, you just kind of see her as some girl to have like fun with right now. But that feels a bit degenerate and dirty. So then you convince yourself, oh no, it's actually lust because it feels less sinful. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. You could be dating an awesome girl right now, but chances are it's probably more lustful than you realize, and you just covered it up with this bullshit cope that it's actually love. Along with that, you might also just be entertaining these relationships that you could be forging right now just because of the desire of validation from others. Like when you're young, let's say you're 18 years old, and there's a girl who's like, you know, pretty cute. She's like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 in appearance. You know that she's not going to be the mother of your children, if you're being honest. You know you're not going to be fucking walking down the aisle and marrying this girl who fucking smokes and vapes and she's given a blowjob to some guy from your class in high school or something. You know you're not going to fucking marry this girl, right? But one, you're kind of lustful and you just want to, you know, have sex and have fun with her. But also two, you'll get validation from your friends and people in school when they see that you're one of the rare guys who's actually got a girl who's into him. Because most guys, about 60 to 70% of guys, don't really have any attraction from girls. So we as men will crave that kind of validation, that attraction. Sometimes not because we actually even want to be attracted to the girl, but just because we want other people to know that we've got a girl into us. Because now you're finally the one who's attracting these girls. You know how like you won't admit it, but you subtly somewhat looked up to the guys who were effortlessly getting girls in like high school. You probably will never admit that to yourself, but you know, you can probably remember a few moments where you were looking over a little bit insecure at the guy who had like a girl who was clearly into him. You might now be the guy who has a girl who's into him. But again, it's not actually the girl who's quality enough for you to take seriously. So these desires that are really keeping us in this situation, which are more like lustful or validation seeking or insecurity or ego, they will keep us here. But it's quite hard to swallow that and to accept the fact that we're just being lustful or we're just craving validation. So you've got to have a bit of introspectiveness here, because the point I'm trying to make to you is your own brain will lie to you and say, no, she's actually really high quality. Like if you've been watching this video and thinking that, there might be a chance that she's not, and you're only saying that because you'd feel guilty if you actually accepted the truth that she's not. Like forget about your own subjective kind of opinion. Imagine the opinion of like your boys, or imagine the opinion of someone who you respect. Maybe it's me, maybe it's like Andrew Tate, or you know, some role model that you kind of look to in any kind of way. And imagine what they would say, because a man with higher standards will look through the bullshit, see the girl that you're into for what she really is and be like, yeah, bro, like she's not even special and she Snapchats other guys. It's like, that's not quality at all. Like, I don't know what you're lying to yourself for. But if you accepted that, then you'd have to make the uncomfortable decision of not sticking here. You know, you'd have to make the uncomfortable decision of maybe ending things with her, not replying to her when she sends you messages. And most guys just don't have the fucking balls to do that, because for most of your life, you wanted to be the guy who was getting the Snapchats from the girl and getting, I don't know, the fucking nudes from the girl or whatever. You've wanted to be that guy. Now that you're finally that guy, it's like giving up what you've wanted all this time. But remember, you never actually desired like a mid girl. You wanted the best. You wanted a girl who was fucking awesome, who was pretty, who was attractive, but also she had really good character and potential. The type of girl that you'd actually feel like you'd get more respect for being, because she's actually genuinely like a good person. She's productive. She's still disciplined. She's leveling up her character and those kinds of things. And if you've got a girl right now who isn't like that, who's just a bit of a fucking degen subhuman who doesn't even exercise, it can be a hard pill to swallow for you to actually just kind of relax and say, you know what? I don't even think she's high quality, and I'm only here just because there's no other girls who are kind of into me. And so let's elaborate on the next part, which is the danger of sticking here. I told you very briefly my story of dating this particular girl and this one, and you know, these girls I was dating who were below my level, but I stayed with them longer than I should have. Just out of the sort of thing of like, oh, you know, it's kind of easier. You're having sex. You feel good about it, whatever. You think that's a good enough reason to keep texting this, like, you know, the girl that you're currently texting, because it'd be too hard for you to just end things randomly when she hasn't even done anything wrong, just because she's just kind of like not good enough for the level that you're going to get to. Like, that's a pretty fucking brutal kind of realization. But I want to walk you through the pains that you'll go through if you stick here, and basically if you don't increase your standards. So with the girls that I've spent time with in my life, especially when I was younger, not so much now, because now I've got to the point where there's kind of like diminishing results. It's kind of, like, I'm okay to admit that. I'm already a millionaire. I'm already jacked. I've had this physique for like fucking years. I've literally got like millions of dollars, and like, you get my point. I've already got clout and stuff. So now, of course, it's like, now I'm meeting some fucking awesome girls. So now this isn't my mindset anymore, thinking, oh yeah, 3 months from now I'll be better. That's what you should be thinking about when you're more like 18 and you're just starting off and you're literally poor and your physique's not good and you're not confident. You haven't even had life experience. You've never traveled by yourself. You've never missed a flight, or, those life experiences or whatever. But when I was younger and I was dating these girls who I had this realization with, like, after 3 months, 6 months, I was like, oh shit, like, they're not actually good enough anymore. The problem is, when you stay with these girls, you become more like them. Like, naturally, when you spend time with people, you pick up their mannerisms and they pick up some of yours. You pick up their belief system. It is clear for me to say is, imagine when I was in university with this one girl that I was dating, like, after my first girlfriend. We would wake up at 3 p.m. together and I would instantly feel depressed because the day was basically gone. When I was by myself, and, like, let's say my friends, me and them weren't really going out to clubs or whatever, but when I was just by myself, I would wake up early and I would go to the gym. I was that kind of guy. When I would spend time with this girl or with some of my degenerate friends, that's when I would stay up late. And of course, look, I'm not actually blaming these people. I hope that I make this clear. Like, this isn't me being like some petty little person and be like, oh, it's their fault. No. This is all our fault. But you need to understand why you behave badly. Because people will say like, oh no, it's like, it's not your girl's fault. You just have to control yourself. No. Like, you are a degenerate with certain kinds of people in your life. You are lazy with certain kinds of people in your life. The skill is not thinking like, oh, I've got these people, but I've just got to try not to be lazy with them. No. The skill is basically to be less lazy and degenerate by cutting those people out of your life. So when I wouldn't have, like, I wouldn't be as close to like these friends I would go out with or this girl that I'd stay up late, I would automatically be like 5 times more disciplined. I'd go to sleep at 9 p.m. I'd wake up at like 5. I'd go to the gym right away. I'd track my calories, and I wasn't doing much more productive than that. But at least, I was doing something. I was going to the gym. I was in the lifestyle. I was like dieting properly and everything. When I'd spend time with these people who didn't give a shit about their diet, I also would give less shits about my diet. And everyone online will tell you this bullshit of like, no, but you should just stay disciplined anyway, no matter who you're living with or who you're hanging out with. But it's just not realistic. What's realistic is when you spend time with a motherfucker who keeps cheating, like, eating shit food, you will eventually eat some shit food as well. It's just that fucking simple. All the dorks who are watching this disagreeing with that, it's because they don't have any fucking friends. So they just sit at home. And of course, it's easy to be disciplined and stick to your routine when you sit at home and you've got no fucking friends. When you're like kind of in love with a girl who you're having sex with and she wants to stay up late or she wants to eat food or whatever, it becomes way harder. And the idea is, if you really prioritize your own growth, your own goals over your relationships, which you probably should do as a man, then it doesn't make sense for you to be spending time with someone who often detracts from your own goals. You stick in this kind of relationship, like with the first girls that you've attracted, and you will literally slow down your self-improvement journey. There's such a common instance what happens to a lot of guys is they work really hard up until they've got a girlfriend, and then they just slack and they get so complacent. You've probably seen like memes about this. Maybe you've seen it with some of your friends. Like, some of your friends are super social guys, happy, they hang out with you, they come do fun stuff, you guys all go play sports or whatever. The moment one of your friends gets a girlfriend, he just disappears. You don't hear of him. He just spends time with her. He's just friends with her. Again, pussies in the modern day will be like, oh, but that's cute. They've become like best friends. But it's actually not fucking healthy. In a good relationship, your social life should still be there. You should still be an individual who has their own friends, their own hobbies. That's a healthier thing. But a lot of guys especially will end up getting into a relationship or, like they'll fall for a girl and they'll stop going to the gym if they were before. They'll stop hanging out with their friends. They'll start staying up late. They'll start eating dirtier food. They'll slow down on their growth. What do you think happens if you slow down on your growth? Problems will arise in that very relationship that you just sacrificed your goals for. Why? Because you're less attractive. Physically, because, you'll gain 5 pounds of fat and, you've lost the sort of glycogen from your muscle because you haven't been training as much. You've been sleep deprived, so your testosterone's lower. But also just sort of emotionally for the woman, when she sees you in this very, very human mode where you're eating shit food, but she always thought you were this sort of disciplined army style guy. And now she sees you at your worst. her attraction for you is going to go down. Now, when you are a super disciplined guy where you can keep up these discipline habits whilst you're with the girl, that's awesome. But I'm telling you, that's what happens when you meet a girl who's actually high quality, and she pushes you to stay disciplined as well. She literally knows what your diet is, and she'll cook for you, or it'll just be kind of a thing in your relationship where it's an unspoken thing of like, yeah, that's the kind of diet you eat and that's how you train and whatever. She'll expect you to go to the gym in the morning. When you meet like these subhuman type of people, and I know it sounds like such a offensive phrase, but it's true. I would consider someone subhuman when they don't even exercise, they don't even get sunlight, they just fucking scroll, they vape, they just live like fucking weird modern day fucking weird shit, right? When you're with people like that who aren't even on self-improvement, they will literally treat you worse when you want to go to the gym or you want to eat clean and you don't want to eat the shit food with seed oils. They'll look at you weird when you say, no, that's going to have like seed oils or sugar in or whatever. So you slowly start skipping workouts, staying up later. And the thing is, you won't fully recognize it. Like those days when I would wake up at 3 p.m. next to this girl, I'd feel depressed right away because in UK wintertime, at 3 p.m. it gets dark. So I'd just feel instantly depressed. I would leave her place, go back to my place and go to the gym right away. Then I'd kind of, like hang out with some friends, whatever. And then I'd kind of want to see her again. And it was never really a complete realization of like, oh yeah, this fucking routine sucks. And the reason why you're living like this is literally just because of that girl. And again, don't fall for this fucking lie, which is like, oh, but you can just be friends with someone and not act like them. No, you will become more like the people you spend time with. This is why, like, you don't want to be hanging out with people who are just fucking losers and they stay up till like fucking 1 a.m., 2 a.m., just like scrolling, fapping or whatever, because you'll be more likely to do that. It's part of your self-improvement journey. Not for you to be lonely, but for you to find the type of guys who are serious on this path, and also the women who are serious on this path, so that you can spend time with them. And then it becomes like this respected thing that you're all going to bed at 9 p.m. Like I'll never date a girl who goes to bed late because of some fucking degenerate reason. Like she goes out, like if I, like, I'll go on dates here, and the moment I hear that a girl goes out to like beach clubs and parties and stuff, that's such a turn off. Because when you become like a fucking normal human being who's not a fucking subhuman, you look at people like that, you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what kind of mental illness do you have to go out, drink poison and be sleep deprived? Like what trauma have you not fucking healed for you to live like that? Like, it's just disturbing when you're a guy on self-improvement, especially like few years down the line. You will really get so turned off by people who live like that. Right now, you're insecure with low standards and you're just desperate and needy. So when you see a girl who stays up late, you don't think it's that bad because you think you can save her, and you probably say gay shit like I used to, like, oh yeah, but if she meditates for 10 years, then she'd be really high quality. Some stupid, like, cringe shit like that. I used to look at a girl who would smoke weed with fucking other guys whilst, like, we were, like, falling in love with each other. And I used to think to myself, like, oh yeah, but if she meditates for 10 years, like, stop trying to save a girl who doesn't want to be fucking saved. The brutal truth is, if you stick in this kind of situation, you will slow down, whilst the best version of you and also your competition keep running this race faster. That version of you that doesn't slow down and starts hanging out with these low tier girls that you're meeting right now will continue making progress faster than you. And when he continues making progress, he will unlock better quality women faster. Don't get me wrong in this video and think, oh, well, relationships are important. I don't know why Hamza's being so negative. No, I agree with you. But a relationship with a low quality person is worse than just being alone. Anyone who's actually lived life would agree with me here. A relationship with a low quality person is worse than being alone. I would rather you be alone and not date right now. Keep leveling yourself up. By all means, go speak to loads of girls. Be super social. Go to the gym, cold approach, speak to guys, speak to girls. Go on some dates. I understand that. I did that when I was young as well. I understand that. But I would tell you, don't settle and don't commit to a girl who's actually not high quality right now just because she's the only girl who showed you attention in the last like 3 to 6 months. Have some fucking standards. When you meet a girl who's fucking amazing and she, for example, is like, maybe she's an athlete, maybe she's an artist, she's something where you're like, holy shit, like I fucking respect that so much. And she's so feminine and beautiful and healthy and she eats clean and she doesn't use like fucking cancer products for her hair and makeup or something. You meet a based fucking woman like that, then yeah, getting into a relationship with her is a fucking no-brainer. Of course, do it, because you'll become better with her. You don't fucking date someone who makes you, because they're in your life, you kind of become worse. You know, they're like bad influences on you. Above all, we get to control our lives, and we're at fault. We are responsible for everything that happens to us. But part of that responsibility is recognizing the people that we just become stupider, lazier, and more degenerate with, and cutting them out of our life. So the final thing I want to teach you for this final section is the male advantage. So this is something my friend Chris used to talk about a lot, which basically, in a very simple way, it is that men have a special advantage that we can become more and more and more and more attractive as we get older. In fact, we often are actually more attractive than we are when we're younger. Because what women are attracted to in men is not as just based on the sort of physical appearance of men, as it kind of is from men's attraction to women. Basically, what makes a man attractive is those things which often take years to build, like, for example, your finances, your status in the locations that you frequent, your emotional stillness, your masculinity, whether you own a home or not, how certain you are, how good you are at decision making, like those kinds of things, they take time. Here's a weird point to this though. On average, guys who are older, let's say a guy who's 35 is less attractive than a guy who's 25. Why? Because the guy who's 35 has done another 10 years of being a fucking retard. So on average, yeah, this is actually true. If you look around in the world, most guys who are 40 attract way less women than they do when they were 20, because they've had 20 years of drinking beer like fucking retards and staying up late and not really exercising and hanging out with fucking losers. But men on self-improvement, we are exempt from the usual rule. We get the male advantage, which is that if we are, let's say, 18 years old, when you're 28, I guarantee, this is not an exaggeration, you will be literally 10 times, 1,000% more attractive than you currently are. Maybe even more than that. I genuinely tell you that's the truth. If you get one match per day on a dating app right now, which is more than most guys even do right now, 10 years from now, it's not unreasonable for you to get about 25, 50, 100 matches a day. I know that's like a stupid number and might not be high quality women, but you know, just to quantify things, it's not unreasonable for you to get that much growth. Again, most guys get worse over time because they're fucking retards, just like most women. Most people are just fucking imbeciles. They're like weird. They just poison themselves. When you really think about it, it's just fucking weird. But men on self-improvement, we get better every single year. That's the special thing. That's the male advantage. Now, women on self-improvement, they do as well, but this is a brutal truth. Even if there's a girl on self-improvement, you know, she's been going to the gym, meditating, whatever, her sort of like cutoff period is earlier in life than for men. Like, for example, you can be a 37-year-old man and be super attractive, look like a masculine Chad, you own your own home, you're so mature and everything, you're really attractive, you've been going to the gym for maybe, 17 years? You have like the perfect fucking strong physique, lean, but also muscular, you're super fucking attractive. But a woman who's 37, she could be attractive, you know, she's a bit of a mature woman and, you know, she's built herself up and stuff. But the truth is that when you're 37, you'd rather just have the girl who's 28. That's the difference. A woman who's 28 is still happy dating a guy who's 37. It's just the truth. Women will date guys who are older than them, and often because it's the guys who are older who are more mature. Like, for example, let's say you're 18 and there's an 18-year-old girl in your class in like college or something, chances are she's getting fucked by a guy who's 21 or 22, because you're in the same ranked game as them, right? You know, in like video games you play like ranked, like competitive. You're in the same like ranked game as a guy who's 21 years old. He's 3 years older than you. He's got a car, and he's been on dates with like an extra 30 girls than you have. He's just way more mature. Maybe a family member of his passed away in the last few years that really developed him more than you've been through in your life. You're still 18 years old. You're still a fucking like little boy who's riding around on his fucking skateboard or something, you know? And so The male advantage is basically this idea that as we get older, if we are men on self-improvement, we will keep becoming more and more and more attractive. And for us, the cutoff point might be more like in our 40s. Like if you're the type of guy who's sleeping 8, 9, 10 hours a night, you're not drinking alcohol, you're literally waking up and the first thing you're doing is getting morning sunlight because you know that Dr. Andrew fucking Huberman has recommended that for good sleep. If you're that switched on with self-improvement, you're going to keep getting more and more attractive. That means that, let's say right now, if you're 18 years old and you do want to date, you do want to have sex, but also you're not really attracting the kind of girls that you actually want to date. If you just keep on this path, when you are 25, 30 years old, you are going to be attracting such incredibly high quality women. And then it's like your dating life's fucking awesome. And the beautiful thing is you can be 27 years old, 28 years old, you can be 31, and there'll be a beautiful, fucking stunning, but also high quality, like amazing character woman who's maybe 23 years old. And it's not crazy for a 23-year-old woman to be dating a guy who's like 29, for example. That's not crazy. That's it's a kind of a big age gap, but it's not crazy or anything. But the difference is when you're 23 and the 23-year-old woman who seems unbelievable to you, you can't get her because she wants the guy who's 6 years older than you who also is on self-improvement. Do you see what I mean? So the male advantage is, one, it's almost this sexist thing of like, as men, we age better than women. If we're all on self-improvement, we age better. But also, it's a bit of a dark thing, which is that as men, the guy who's older than you has the advantage if he has been on self-improvement too. So all that to say, right now is probably not the time for you to get into a committed, serious relationship if you're only attracting girls who are kind of low quality. The last disclaimer I'm just going to give you is the Black Swan event, which basically, the Black Swan event basically means like this weird, unpredictable, crazy event that happens. People mention it in like tech or something where, you know, someone codes this software that changes everything or whatever. But the Black Swan event in dating is what I say is, it's when you're young, you're not very attractive, but for some reason there's a fucking wife quality girl who's into you right now. That can happen. So keep your eyes out, right? So if you meet a girl who's really high quality, really, really high quality, she doesn't fucking vape, she doesn't give random guys blowjobs or something like that, she doesn't dress in a way that gives like other guys free testosterone boosts in public or something. If she's a genuinely high quality, almost like wife material girl that you meet right now, then still consider it. This is not like, this video wasn't about me saying, yeah, don't date for 5 years. The idea was you're probably not meeting the kind of girls who are worth your time right now. But if you happen to meet a girl who's fucking awesome and she's not a fucking weird little degen who smokes weed or anything like that, then you can consider a real relationship with her now. And it's awesome. You're both young. Go ahead. This often happens before you turn 18. So if there's a guy watching this, imagine he's 16 years old and there's a 16-year-old girl in his class. She could be extremely high quality. Maybe she's never even kissed a guy before. Maybe she's raised right. Her parents are still together. She's super wholesome. She hasn't gotten into like drugs or drinking, that kind of culture or anything. You could meet a girl who's literally like wife, to be wife quality in the future. If she's into you, fucking pursue that, right? Don't watch this video thinking, yeah, so I'm not going to date for 5 years. No, the idea is don't date and get serious with low quality women. But if you meet a high quality woman in the next year or right now or 5 years from now, then always pursue that if you want to. Because it's like, why lose the chance? So many guys I speak to will be like, there was this girl when I was 17 years old. She was in my class and she was so amazing. And then some other guy got in a relationship with her and they've been together for 6 years. And that's like a super sad moment. You don't want that to happen. Be open to meeting a really high quality girl. Just don't get feelings for a fucking degen. That's like the big lesson from this video. So click and watch this video to continue learning more and do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.